Israel bombed Gaza's only Catholic church, injuring its pastor. You can bring up the screen here. How you think global Christian community will respond? Now, this is why I bring up this story. So this is the only Catholic church in Gaza. It's apparently was the only Catholic church in Gaza, which is interesting. I know some other historic parishes and churches, including an Orthodox church, were already destroyed. But
yeah, let's make sure people know it's not like this was the only church. There were other churches. They were just also destroyed. So.
Correct. And it's just a reminder that, there are not just Muslims in Gaza. There are also Christians too. And I think that it's kind of ironic that, you'll see, I saw Joel Berry defending, we'll talk about this later, Israel attacking Syria, bombing Damascus. And he's like, they're trying to protect the Christians. But then when Israel kills Christians, it's just crickets. It's silence. That's all we can hear.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's every time you bring this up, because I've said this before, even on the show, this war does not benefit American Christians at all. And they're always trying to get Christians, particularly evangelicals, on board with this. So it is interesting that they bombed a Christian church, a Catholic church in particular, because Catholics are really, I would say Catholics and Orthodox, the Orthodox community are the main groups that are kind of, I guess, being critical of Israel. But evangelical Zionists, they will still be on board with this regardless. Unfortunately, that's just the case.
Well, historically, because they're not dispensationalists. So, what's kind of crazy is the early church has never been about promoting Israel, because we believe that the promise of Israel was given to his people, the Holy Church, right? And that the promise was not nullified, but it was fulfilled through Jesus. That was a promise through Abraham, particularly in the moment he intended what particularly to do, to give us the salvation through Jesus. And then he set up his Holy Church. Now, obviously, there are disagreements. I mean, we have our creeds with the Catholic Church, which may disagree, symbolizes the Catholic Church, but there are people who disagree that it means there has to be an apostolic succession, whatever, down the line. And disagreements come. But one thing people do agree on is this, that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. There's no way to the Father but through him. And I don't know how you could believe that when we all do believe that, somehow think that God cares more about these people in a country that was made up about 75 years ago. I mean, genuinely, with a bunch of Polish and European Jewish diaspora people who, many of which converted later in life and are not ethnically Semitic at all, right? It's not even genetically Semitic people. Some do live there. You can tell. We were talking about that, I think, the other day. You can tell people that are Jewish, like Semitic, you can tell they're ethnically Jewish, versus some that just may be Ashkenazi or some other form of Judaism. However, I just find it's funny that it's never been more clear to me, the silence on an issue like this reminds me, just like with Azerbaijan and the Israelis arming them with drone technology to ethnically cleanse Christians, that, Israel's not on the side of Christ. The only reason why they're on the side of Christ is the same reason why black people in Africa like white people. It's tourism, baby. The money comes in the Holy Land. But and remember, they've got to like Christians because they are expecting a Christian country to defend them. And the biggest lobby outside of AIPAC itself is evangelical Christians in the United States. So it does pay to play.
Yeah, I mean, the church has been hijacked. I mean, really, that's what it comes down to. We're taught that, we're supposed to, pretty much in every church, because of the Schofield Bible, that they're God's chosen people. They're trying to push us to just promote all their endless wars. But the way that Israel and the Jews actually view Christians is totally different. We know that in the Talmud. We also know how, if anybody, there's a lot of things that go on actually in Israel. If you're a Christian, you walk down the streets, a lot of times you can face different types of persecution. And they really look down on us. So what they did is they hijacked the church to convince us to go ahead and go with this endless agendas that they have for us to carry out, pretty much to grow their greater country, which is just insanity, because those who actually choose Jesus Christ are the children of God. Those are the chosen people, which we know they reject him. So.
Yeah, well, I feel like a lot of Christians now who are just Protestant, they're in America, they're just raised Christian. And of course, they grow up being told that Jews and Christians are basically like brothers and sisters kind of thing. I don't think they realize just the very long history of beef between Jews and Christians.
Yeah.
Think about all of Europe for the past 2,000 years. There's so much beef, especially between the Catholic Church and Jews all over Europe. And so Christians don't really realize that. Maybe some Catholics kind of realize that, but not really. But Jews, they remember that. They know their history, and they kind of see us as an enemy over a long period of time. And that's why you'll see all of these anti-Catholic movies in Hollywood. It's like all of these nuns are either sexualized or they're evil, right? So it's definitely like this major beef, and it's kind of one-sided because I feel like most Christians don't even realize that.
Well, that's why they use Christians, Jews do, to achieve their ultimate goal, which of course in this case is to basically take over the entire region, destabilize the region like we talked about last night, and take over. And it's like, to your point, totally one-sided, and also the niceness and willingness to work with them is one-sided as well. Christians tend to do more for Jews than Jews do for Christians, and you can see that echoed in the relationship between the United States and Israel as well. You know, what are they actually doing for us, right? We're always the ones who have to answer their call at the end of the day. But last time I checked, I can't remember the last time Israel really helped the United States government and any of our affairs.
Well, the Pope actually brought this up. AF Post reported that Pope Leo the 14th, right at the 14th, was called for an immediate ceasefire after Israel struck the only Catholic church in Gaza, killing 2 people and injuring several others. Pope Francis' friend, Father Gabriel Romanelli, is among the wounded. And, obviously that's not like a terminal wound there, but I just bring up the idea that, okay, there's only 2 sides to this. The reason why we're talking about it is not to ramp up support against Israel due to anti-Semitism or anti-Jewish, rhetoric. It's to remind you that this is not our ally. And I think there's a fundamental understanding of that. This is not our ally. They do not hold our values, okay? The most American thing that they promote is homosexuality, which is true. They're very, very gay. And, we love it on the Republican and the Democrat sides.
Or you could just argue that's a Jewish value and they brought it to America.
Well, it is funny.
Well, that is American and Jewish values. Anything, are those 2 different words?
Well, this is the thing, though, is when people say, like, America's not a Judeo-Christian country, I was thinking about it. I was like, honestly, it kind of is.
Has Israel apologized to the Pope yet?
Israel did apologize about the incident that happened. What are you talking about? What just happened now?
Yeah. Because I know we have it in here.
I believe they had a response, which let me pull up here.
Yeah, bring it up.
All right. It says the statement from the Prime Minister: Israel deeply regrets that a stray ammunition hits Gaza's Holy Family Church. Every innocent life lost is a tragedy. We share the grief of the families and to the faithful. And then they went on again to say, we are grateful for Pope Leo for his words of comfort. Israel is investigating the incident and remains committed to protecting the civilians and the holy sites.